Everybody, it's Nicole Noasat here, and I'm here today for Vicky Booten Design Team, and I'm going to do some stamping here with an embossing folder. So I'm actually loading up a brayer here with some of Vicky's acrylic paints, and you can see I've just done a thin layer on the inside of the raised part of an embossing folder. And so that's just going to allow me to open it up and stamp it. As you can see, the first print I did there, I didn't add enough pressure, so on the second I added a little bit more pressure, and you can see that stamp went a little bit better. So I'm going to add a little bit more paint now and again with the brayer, just a nice thin coat, and again just apply a lot of pressure and push that down, and you'll get a nice fairly kind of distressed print. I'm going to go over top of the first one I did just because it wasn't quite dark enough, and I got the look that I wanted. What I really love about this is it's a great kind of model distressed big funky circle, and I really thought it would look great as a stamp, and guess what? I think it did. So now that is setting to dry, that paint, and I'm going and just grabbing some other items for my project. I have a little bit of a scrap here that I have on foundations paper where I did some stamp kissing with the, actually I used a stencil and I actually kissed it into the kind of watercolor from the art crayon and then stamped it into the paper. I have another video here on YouTube where I've done that. So I have that, and I have a few different papers here from the Let's Wander collection. I'm not sure where I'm going to land, what I'm going to use, but at this point, so I'm just going to pull a few things out. I did go ahead and once that stamped embossing folder design dried, cut some hearts and the word love on my silhouette, and I've just got those kind of set aside. And I have a die cut big kind of word bubble, and what I'm going to do is use my stencil brush here, which I just misted lightly with water. I rubbed some pink art crayon and the white, and I'm just lightly adding in that pink color here with the stencil brush to the background of that word bubble using one of Vicky's stencils. I'm just very lightly adding this in because when you use the water on the stencil brush with the art crayon, it's moist, so it moves around a little bit differently than it would if you're using the dry method with the stencil brush and the art crayon. So I just add this soft little subtle technique to that word bubble, and then I thought I'll add some texture by just stitching around the outer edge of that design really quick on my sewing machine. So I'm just going to quickly zip that and then trim off the extra string. Thread, I guess, not string. I had cut out the word love from that polka dot background and added some foam adhesive to the back, but it was really just not showing up really well, so I decided in the end not to use it, but I did want to add a little foam to the back, as you can see, of my word bubble shape here. So I'm going to do that and adhere that to the back of this background. I didn't make this background. This is actually one of the cool ones from the pre-made mixed media backgrounds. So if you're kind of in a rush or you have not a lot of inspiration going on, you can use one of these and they make a really good starter for your mixed media page. So I'm going to add a couple photos now to the bottom of my page of me and my dog. And then I'm going to go ahead, add a little bit of black just to kind of set off all that kind of pink and red, just to add a little bit of variation of color, and then kind of get going with my project. Now, like I said, I thought I would use the word love, and it turns out I decided it was just too busy. So I am going to use those hearts, though. I really love how they're kind of a bit of a funky heart. They're not quite symmetrical, so I'm going to use that all over my word bubble instead. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of figure out where I want to place some of those hearts. And then I thought I'll add a little bit more of that texture with the stitching. So I'm going to go down the center of each of the hearts that I have kind of cut out here. Just a little quick zip on the sewing machine. It just adds a tiny little bit of texture. And when I put the hearts down on my project, I'm going to be adding some foam adhesive to the back of them. So that stitching will just kind of make it look like it's sewn onto the page where they're going to be placed. So that's just kind of a fun, cool, easy thing to do. So I have tape runner or foam adhesive here actually on a roll, and I'm just folding it up to make it a little bit thicker, and then I'm going to start sticking down my heart design. So I actually thought I would use this fun, like pink leopard print paper. I love this paper from the Let's Wander collection, and I'm just going to use the hearts instead of cutting it on my silhouette. Again, I'm just going to use it as a template and go ahead and just fussy cut a couple of hearts from that pink. I wanted to bring in a variation of that red so everything wasn't just so red, and the light pink there was in the bottom of the project. Now here's that scrap I talked about earlier where I did a bit of a stamp kissing technique on foundation paper. So I'm just going to, again, same thing, instead of cutting it on my machine, I'm just going to use the cut ones I already have and just cut those out as well. So I'm going to do a couple of the larger and the smaller hearts from that black kind of gray kissed background. and use that on my page as well. And then I'll do a couple smaller ones there, as you can see, with that pink kind of leopard print. So I'm going to mix those three together here, and I'm just going to add all the hearts to my word bubble, which I think is just kind of a fun way to add it. So you can see here, just do another of the grayish black kind of background onto my heart. And then I will stitch that as well, just really quickly through my sewing machine. And like I said, when I put these hearts down, what I'm going to do, you'll see right away, is I'm going to add a lot of foam adhesive to the back of it. I like buying these big rolls and then just kind of ripping off the amount that I need. It makes it really easy, and if you want to make it a little bit thicker, you just have to fold over that foam, and it adds like a little bit more dimension. And it's kind of forgiving, like you can kind of move it around a little bit too until it's set in place. So I'm just going to add more of these hearts. I like the mix of the polka dot from that red acrylic paint mixed with the kind of the splatter of the kissed background with the stencil. And I use the stencil that has the words, so you can kind of see in the close-ups, you'll see it better, a little bit of the words kind of on those grayish black hearts, so that's kind of fun. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a title going. I have some thickers here in my stash. I'm just going to grab to add some of that black in. I thought about using a heart for the center of the O because I actually didn't have any O's from this font. So I'm going to try cutting down a Q to get an O. Wasn't really super happy with how it was turning out. So again, I just cut a bit of a smaller heart and made it even smaller from that grayish black pattern. I thought I would use that for the center of my O in love, but as you will see, I don't go with that either. So I'm going to put that down for my O, and then I will take it away once again. So I'll add foam adhesive to that too, because it just helps the sides pop up quite a bit. Add my L, and you'll see I end up moving the whole thing. I just felt like in that area, the title just wasn't working there for me, and the O, as much as it was cute, I ended up using it in a different spot. It just wasn't it was just too much in that little area there. So I'll just add the heart there instead. And then I'm going to actually cut the O down, and I think it looks pretty good. It turned out better than I thought in the beginning, and I'm going to move my title onto that bubble because it kind of just goes with the bubble. So I'm going to add my title here with the thickers, and I like putting these down with, especially the foam thickers, with a paper piercer. It just helps me kind of place the letters exactly where I want them. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. I thought about changing out the O and using a 0 instead, but I definitely didn't like that. So I'm just going to have to cut down one more O from another Q, and then I have my title. So I have my title now. I have all my hearts in place with all the mixed media background, and now I think it's just time for me to kind of get the rest of the kind of bits onto my page. I had another little heart left over, so I thought I would tuck that up here in that left corner, and a few more little black drops just to kind of add a little bit more black to it so it's not just so pink and red. I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to go ahead and add those little bits. So I'm going to grab some things that are good for layering, like these enamel dots, some washi tape. I'm going to use some stickers, some die cuts, all kind of the fun things that you can add in around your photos. I don't really want to add a lot of pattern paper because the background is pretty bold. I really love it. And I have all that kind of action going on in the word bubble. So I'm just going to use some stickers and little embellishments to kind of add the extras to my project that it kind of needs at this point. So I'm going to start adding things on, and then I remove a few things and then I replace them again. So you'll see that I kind of move that photo tab in the top of the right photo, and I move it a few times, but it ends up being back there anyway. So I'm just going to go through my stash, and even though some, like Let's Wander as an example is a travel collection, there's a lot of non-themey things in there that you can use. So I'm going to use one of the stickers from there, some of the labels. I'm going to add that to my photo. And then I thought about using these super fun blinged out dots that are in the embellishment pack, but I decided against it. So here's all that mixed media wonder. I really love that embossing embossing folder, mixed with the stenciled background. And it's like such a fun technique just to stamp an embossing folder like that. I'm sure a more intricate design would be a little more difficult, but this one is just too fun not to give it a try. So I hope you've liked this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.